What's going on, people? It is Uncle Nick here, and I'm coming at you with a type of video I haven't done in a while, and that is a bench video. One of the epiphany things I had about my bench press was my bar path. Still to this day, at or about 90% and above, things get a little wonky with my bar path because it's just heavier weight and it's harder to control. But it's one of the key things that made my bench press go up technique-wise, weight-wise, just all around made my bench press better, was figuring out and fixing my bar path. The main mistake I see is people either come too far down their body with the bar, or they don't come up far enough on the way up and they stay out in front. What that is doing exactly, you are basically giving the weight more leverage on the press. Think of like a deadlift. If the bar's out front on a deadlift, the weight feels heavier. Why is that? Well, you have a crane. That boom is all the way extended. The weight has more tipping leverage on the crane boom. What you're doing with the weight is bringing it in closer. Same with a crane. You retract that boom a little bit, and it gives the weight less leverage and gives the crane direct input to the load. By bringing the bar closer to your nipple line and driving towards your eyes, the same as you'd be bringing the bar closer to your shins on a deadlift, you give that weight the minimal amount of leverage on you so you can input the most amount of power on it. Also, when I get out in front, I tend to feel it in my front delts and my shoulders a lot more. You're here instead of here. Here, here. So, therefore, your shoulders are not packed on your lats. Also known as putting your shoulder blades in your back pocket. Therefore, you aren't tight and compacted and coiled up into like a tight spring. So when you drop too far down, the amount you're able to press is significantly less than what it would be if the bar was in its groove. Think of like an overhead press. If you're it's literally the same concept as an overhead press as well. You get that bar too far away from you, all that leverage is here. You shorten that, you get way better input to the bar itself. So now that we've established the issue, I'm going to feed you guys some cues on how to fix that issue. Let's go. All right, guys, so how we're gonna run this is step by step what I'm doing to control that bar path from the time I set up to the time I get under the bar to the time I'm pressing. First thing first is what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be packing my lats. Now, I briefly mentioned that before, but what packing your lats is basically screwing in your shoulders on top of your lat muscles in your back. What that does is it reduces the spread of your shoulders over the bench and narrows you and puts more of you on the bench so you're not spread out and you don't have parts moving around that you don't need to be or want to be moving around. Everything is tight, compact, and protected. So the cue I normally give people for that is think about putting your shoulder blades in your back pocket. Kind of like a deadlift where you slam your shoulders down your body when you're bent over. Same thing, you're going back and down. Your 3 points of contact should be your upper back, your butt, and your feet on the floor. Well, it's 4 points if you're holding on to the bar like you should be on a bench press. Now that we've gone over that first movement, the second part in that sequence, screwing your shoulder blades into the bench. It'll kind of look like I'm itching my back, but I'm not. I might be. But what's actually going on, guys, I'm screwing my shoulder blades into the bench, trying to gain that traction, make sure everything is still tight and compacted. What's gonna happen is, after this, the next step is you're gonna roll that bar to the front of the J-hooks in the rack, because you do not wanna come up underneath the J-hooks, you wanna clear it on the press. You do not want that to be an issue. You do not wanna miss a bench or a bench PR because you ran into the rack. The bar at that point should be directly over your eyes, not over your nose, not over your mouth, not over your forehead, directly over your eyes. If the rack is too high, what that's gonna do is it's gonna spread you back out. So you do not want too high of a rack. If you are kind of at an in-between rack height and one of the positions is too high and one is too low, get a spotter. You do not want to be spread back out on the unrack because if you're under heavy weight, it's hard to get back into that tight, compacted position. Your eyes are under the bar. You are now gonna basically do a tricep extension and unrack. Now you are not gonna press in one motion out of the rack. You are not gonna start that descent there. No. Do not do it, because most of the time, that is what causes people to drop too far out front. And what that does, like I said before, it gives away more leverage and it increases your range of motion. And not in a good way. You're making your press way longer and way harder than it needs to be. You are going to unrack the bar. You're unracked, you're tight, you're compacted. Your eyes are underneath the bar. As you come out of the rack and drop past your eyes, you're going to pause. That is when you start your descent, straight down to the bottom of your nipple line. Not midway down your stomach, bottom of your nipple line. Basically, at the top of the rib cage, just above that, where the pecs meet the first ribs you can feel. If you're too far up, it's gonna come down on your neck, and that is just a weird position to press in. If you're too far down, it's hard to recover from at a heavy weight. But basically, you want that pause in there to have control of that weight, to stop all movement. Anything that's going on that shouldn't be, that is that split second where you can cancel that motion. So, as a cue to kind of remember that, I want you to unrack and go 1/1000. Then start your press. Start the descent down to the bottom of your nipple line. As you're descending, I want you crushing that bar. I want you to try and break that bar like a stick. Snap. What you're doing is not only are you keeping your lats engaged, but you're keeping your elbows from flaring out. If they flare out too early, you run the risk of coming up too high towards your face. And if they are too far in, you might drop too far out. So you're going to snap that bar. Your elbows are going to be about a 45-degree angle from your body, keeping them in. So when you go to drive and your elbows flare back out, you're getting more muscles involved with the press itself. So you've now descended, you're still squeezing the bar, your elbows are at that 45, you're at the bottom. You're right there on your nipple line. When you press, I really want you to squeeze even more. Focus on a pinky squeeze. That's the cue I want you to use to get your elbows starting to flare back out, to get more of your chest involved with that press. That pinky squeeze makes your arm more prone to be pronated and start that rotation inward. Because your elbows going from tucked, tight, and compacted to that flared out position on the way back up allows you to get more muscles involved in the press, but it actually starts driving that bar back up towards your eyes, which is where you want to go. You want to avoid letting it fall out front at all costs. And that pronation, that pinky squeeze, elbows going from tucked to flaring was one of the major moments in my bench that allowed me to correct the bar dropping down too low. At no point should you ever stop squeezing. When you start the press, I really want you to focus on that pinky squeeze. That pronation is a crucial part, and your elbows coming around is a big factor in getting that press back up your body towards your eyes. If you have to, start doing each one by one. Start out by checking boxes off the list. That's exactly what I had to do. I basically did like an every minute on the minute for 20 minutes at like 50%. I kept it light, so I'm consciously thinking about all these little cues that are going on. One of the things I did when I was doing those type of EMOMs is I actually wrote the stuff down on a board right in front of me. During my period of rest, I was looking at the cues. I would do 2 reps each round. Basically, I would do a rep, rack, sit back up, reset, get back under the bar, rep. That takes about 20 to 30 seconds if you're taking your time and consciously thinking about it. And then after I do my 2 reps, I'm sitting back up and I am reading the cues out loud in your head, whatever works for you. It's just helping reinforce that stuff so when you get underneath the bar, it eventually becomes muscle memory. Your body, your brain's subconsciously telling your body where to be, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Weightlifting is muscle memory. It's really all it is. And it's like this for every single lift. And those cues become more efficient and become a lot easier. The more you do it, the better you do it. My bench press for me is still probably my biggest work in progress between my bench, squat, deadlift, and overhead. Is just the one thing my body took the longest to really start getting the cues to work. I still to this day, like I said earlier, above 90%, I still struggle with dropping too far out in front. But the difference is now I recognize it and know when it's going to happen. At that point, there is a brief period of time where I have the ability to correct it before it becomes too drastic. So basically, there are 2 different situations you put yourself in: correction and recovery. Now, we're not talking about the recovery. You have to get done working out, you go roll out on a foam roller, and you have someone with little feet walk on your back in the gym. I don't know who does that. Definitely not me, because we got guys like Andy over here with a size 84 shoe. 14, 41, same thing. So correction is when you notice something going wrong or out of place, like say your bar path. You're descending, you feel it starting to get out front, you correct that while you're still descending. So you've corrected it before it's gotten to the point where it's gone wrong. It's starting to go wrong, but you recognize it, correct it, and you're good to go. Recovery is after it's gone wrong. Hence why after surgery, you're in recovery. An example of recovery would be, okay, I'm out front, I'm too far down on my body, I'm about middle of my rib cage, I need to get this bar back up, figure out how to do it. That would be recovery. Being able to recover from that failure to keep the bar where it needs to be. Now, recovery is a lot easier when the weight's lighter. Correction is a lot easier when the weight's lighter. So when practicing these cues, I emphasize that you keep it around 50 to 70%, 70% being the maximum, because 70% is heavy, but it's not too heavy that you can't correct things. Recovering may be difficult, but I personally am still able to do it at 70%. I do not go any higher than that when I'm trying to fix or learn a new cue for that exact reason. The reason I would work up to about 70% is to see what happens, what my body does when things go wrong. So then I know how to correct it. I know what those signs are when things are going wrong. If any of these cues are new to you guys, go start a clock for 20 minutes, do 2 reps every minute on the minute, and reset in between each rep. So you're doing the whole thing. You're ingraining that repetition, that routine into your body. After doing that for a while, you should start to see a correction or an improvement in your bar path. Record yourself so you can see where you're going wrong. That's what I did. I'm recording myself right now, and when I go edit it, I'm gonna see all the mess ups and make fun of myself, probably. I'm getting bit by a mosquito. I really hope this helps you fix a bar path issue if you do have that bar path issue. So that is about all I got for you guys on this video. I really hope there was something in here that you guys can take away that really helps you improve your bench press and especially the bar path. But until the next time, you guys know what the deal is. Get out there, get after it, and embrace the suck.